Welcome to another unboxing video. Now, I haven't done one of these for a while. I'm not entirely sure why, because I've certainly been purchasing enough equipment. But today's offering is something a little bit special. So after many months of waiting to pre-order, arrived through the post today are two Hasselblad X2D IIs, and they replace two of my original X2Ds. So I thought I'd do a quick unboxing video for no other reason than I can. It might be of some use to somebody who is actually out there. So the box comes in a very similar size. It might be a fraction smaller than the previous box that went before it. What you notice when they arrive is minimal packaging, minimal branding, all very subtle, which I really love. On the back, you've got all the information, your serial numbers, and there are two sticky tabs, and they say to pull back. And as soon as you've done that, it says void on the silver foil. That is it. There's no going back. If you don't like it, it's going on eBay. So you simply allow it to drop slowly. This is one of these that if you try to speed up the process, it really doesn't work. And you've just got to wait. It's like pouring a Guinness. You just got to wait until the good stuff arrives. There we go. Okay. So it is going to be very similar to the X2D. It's marginally lighter by about 70 grams, I believe. So let's have a look. There is a different colour. It's always such an occasion when you get to take out one of these cameras. Now, the very first thing that I notice is that unlike the X2D, which has white lettering, which actually I quite like on top, X2D, handmade in Sweden, the white on the front of the branding, if you want to be a little conservative, that's not great. But now they have replaced it with embossed, much darker lettering. In fact, I would almost go as far as to say that it's almost black on dark grey. So my first impressions, well, first of all, the grip. Now I'm just going to take off, and you get to watch videos of people unwrapping Porsches and all sorts of exotic cars and all the lovely sound of the zip. And yeah, that's not really for me. ASMR videos where they're all about sound. I do watch them myself, but you're not getting one from me here. That's all you get. Not really a great deal. You don't even get a cover. Oh, you do get a cover on the screen. There we go. So you do. So everything is pristine. So the first thing that I notice is the grip. This is much more textured, much grippier, and it is a different material. It's much more wrinkly, as they would say, but fundamentally it looks very similar. There's very little difference. If we look from the top, yeah, everything looks almost identical. Now, of course, what else do we get in the box? Now, so we get an openable half section. Now I have to say, Hasselblad do package their products beautifully well. And in this, I tend to have to be a little careful with these because as and when I sell the camera on, I sell it with the box and everything that goes with it. So you get a certificate and you get safety guidelines and a quick startup guide. But we already know how it works, so that's fine. Now inside the box, you get this. Just lovely little details like little tabs that just allow you to lift it out. There's nothing else in there, but the box is as solid as it comes. It's fantastic. Now, I will say you don't get a charger. What you get is a cable. Ah, actually, you do get a cable, but now you get a little pin. Okay, so you get this with the X2D as well. So it is a 3-pin plug with a USB-C, and there should be in here a high-speed cable. Now, these are about £60. Do not lose these cables, and they do transfer data super quick. And in there, apart from a gel pack to keep everything dry and moisture free, that is all you get. So you get that and you get the cable, and you charge the camera battery directly from the camera via the side compartment. This is the old X2D. Now, if you want to charge it out of the camera, you'll have to buy, like I've just purchased, a really smart, intelligent, double battery Hasselblad charger. That is all metal, beautiful. And it's a USB-C in the back. And when you plug your battery in, you will get a status update on the battery charge. That's fantastic. They're £138. They're not cheap, but it does allow me to charge up the camera batteries at night in the cameras themselves. And my 2 spare batteries, they're £86 each, which actually I think for a spare battery is a very reasonable price. There are other manufacturers charging more than that. And then my 2 spare batteries can be on charge overnight in that as well. So we're pretty much geared up, ready to go. These cables are like a braided cloth. So they're a really lovely feel, really quality piece of equipment, and it works supremely well. Now, I'm going to take, now, for those of you that aren't familiar with Hasselblad as such, you do get a battery that actually forms part of the bottom of the camera. And by the way, you get this strip with the battery that covers the terminals. So when you're ready, pull that off, and away you go. Get rid of that over there. So what I love about the Hasselblads is there's no flap to open to release the battery. The battery is the base. There's a lip, and all it does is it clips in. When you want to take it out, you hit the trigger, and then the battery will not release. You've got to push it in until you hear it click, and then release it. Do it again. Pull the trigger. You just hear that little click, and it comes out. So let's turn her on. There you go. 15%. That's all you get. So obviously, if I will have more than enough to show you the demonstration. Well, you also get that, which sits on the front cap, which is a sort of foam. So that's something else. So they do actually load it up with various things. Now, first thing you do is you select your language. In this case, of course, it's going to be English. And your time zone, because we are 1 hour on, no, we're on UTC 0, which is London, and Casablanca. Casablanca always makes a reference. And then that's absolutely fine. Okay, that's perfect. All done. That's great. Okay. And then you can set your time and your date. Now, the one thing I do love about Hasselblads is that they are fantastic. There you go. You just hit the daylight saving time and it automatically stores the date and the time, which is fantastic. Do that, and then we should be good to go. Click that. Oh yeah. Then you can scan a QR code to download the Focus Mobile 2. Now, I have a slight gripe with this. So Hasselblad have produced an app for Apple Android, Apple iPhones only. So Android are not catered for, and you can access lots of different things on the app. Why they haven't produced one for the Android, I don't know. I suppose there are a lot of Android phones and different operating systems. Maybe that's the problem, and maybe it's easier on iPhones because it is essentially one operating system. So you can just scroll through that, that's fine. Setting is complete, ready for use. and then this is your screen. Now I will say that the screens on these Hasselblads are exceptional. They are 3.6 inch, the biggest screen I have seen on any camera. I'm just going to show you a shot that I took in Namibia recently at Spitzkoppe, a beautiful rock arch. Now I will say that when anybody sees an image on the back of a Hasselblad, it just wows them. The size of the frame is just humongous. But there are issues with the screen itself, in that the way that it moves. So the only way that it moves is upwards. So you can have the camera low to the ground and you can look down from above if you're in landscape orientation. However, when you do that, and I'm going to try and demonstrate it here, can you see how the EVF masks part of the image? Because it's quite chunky, is that electronic viewfinder. It was very, very annoying. Well, thankfully, they have now thought about that, and now it will actually, and you can see here, 90 degrees. And the mechanism now is a little bit more elaborate, and it pushes out the screen by about 1 inch, so that now when you look at it from above, the EVF is no longer hiding or masking part of the screen, which is fantastic. Now, if you want to have the camera high up, you can now have it at 43 degrees downwards. Now, I would like to see an option where you can actually have it tilted from the side, so that if you are actually shooting in a portrait orientation, a vertical orientation from low down, I still have to get down on my hands and knees to see the image. So if for the next version they can sort that out, I'd be mighty grateful. Now, people have asked, why have I gone from the X2D to the X2D Mark II? Because it is costing quite a lot of money to upgrade. Well, there are a couple of things that are essential that were missing on the X2D. One of them being, there is no shutter release cable socket. Now, if you have the app on the iPhone, that's fine. You can simply activate the shutter from the app if you want to be bothered. But us Android users, we have no choice. We cannot connect a wireless or a cabled shutter release. So we have to use a 2, 3, 4 second timer. And if you shoot in the ocean where the waves are coming in, that's almost impossible to click and try and time that timer to the motion of the ocean and where the water is going to be. So that was the one thing. The second thing, and we noticed this in Hokkaido in February, is when you were looking at your images and you wanted to focus on an image, the issue was the screen was so cold because of the sub-zero temperatures in Japan, and you get these, I guess, in Iceland and various other places, the screen almost becomes unresponsive. So the only way to move your focus point is on the touch screen. If the screen is not responding, then the issue there is that you're not going to be able to move your focus point. So I sent a video to Hasselblad saying, can we have a cable release socket and can we have a joystick? Because I can't move the focus point around in sub-zero conditions. And well, the new camera has both of them. So for that alone, in the field, that's going to be a massive advantage. So here in the same compartment, we have the USB-C for charging, and we have the 3.5mm plug for your cable release. Now I noticed a slight design flaw and I've sought to rectify it. When you have your cable release plugged in, your flap is going to be open. If you're in poor weather, water is going to ingress the USB-C socket because that is exposed. They haven't given each of the sockets their own flap and their own space. They share the space. So what I've done to protect the USB-C socket, you can buy little silicone inserts, little plugs that go in and they stay in. So in poor weather, water will not get into the USB-C, especially when you're using your cable release, which I aim to do all the time. And I have purchased the Hasselblad one, it'll be here tomorrow. So we have that, and then we have a 1 terabyte SSD drive, which is the same as in the X2D. That is genius. However, what you notice when you get 500-600 gigabytes worth of files on your camera, the problem you're going to have is that when you power your camera on, okay, and you go to review an image, what you will see is loading images. And that is going through 600 gigabytes worth of images. That can take 10, 15, 20 seconds. There you go. And the more you fill it, the longer it takes for it to become operational. So bear that in mind. Tend not to take my 1 terabyte beyond 500 gigabytes because I want a much faster reactive camera when I turn it on and want to review the images. I also do have in this camera, the old one, and I'll transfer it to the new one. I do have an CF Express card from Hasselblad, and this one is a 512 gigabytes. They're about £160. They're incredible value. Never had a failure with one since April last year. Hasselblad, 512 gigabytes. If you can go for a 1 terabyte, great. But I never let these go full anyway. I never fill these entirely. Images are taken off every night and put onto my MacBook, so no drama there. So this camera, like I said, has a 3.5mm jack plug for your cable release, and it has the joystick. And it's a 5-way joystick, up, down, left, right, and push in. And you hear it clicking? That can be customized, as can the button below, as can the rear, because that's spring loaded, that jog wheel, and the front jog wheel is also spring loaded now, and that can be another customizable button, plus the 2 on top, plus the 2 here. So you can have 8 customizable buttons on this camera. I'm only likely going to customize it to maybe 3 or 4 buttons. So the joystick and the 3.5mm, that alone, and the fact that if it's on a tripod, I can now see the image, the full image that I'm taking. Those 3 things alone are worth the upgrade. It's crazy, I know. You've also now got an OLED screen. Now this one is a 2.36 million dot screen, and it is pretty exceptional. Touch screen as well. The new one is the same 2.36, but it's OLED, and it's 1400 nits of brightness. So it's a brighter, more immersive screen. So I'm really looking forward to using that because the screens are phenomenal on Hasselblads. But everything else is the same. Now what I do notice on the old camera is that you've got white markings on all the buttons, okay? So you can actually see this one. No, very light grey at best. I'm not sure about that. You will get to know which buttons do what, of course, and it'd be muscle memory that'll guide you through that. But personally, I think I would have rather have seen these in white, the symbols, just so that they're more easily identifiable. But nonetheless, yeah, that's the camera. It's grey in colour versus black, so I'm led to believe. And it is a sort of a light grey, so you've got a 2-tone switch going on. And the other thing this has got, and it is different, is you've now got LiDAR autofocusing. I don't know a lot about it, but apparently you can practically focus in the dark. So that will be a huge advantage, because on the older camera, not so good, the autofocus. And an amazing 10 stops of image stabilization. 10 stops. They claim that you can handhold this camera up to 2, 3, or even 4 seconds without a tripod and get a sharp shot. Wow. That might be a game changer for the times that I haven't got time to get a tripod out when I'm working on running tours and various things, and I want to get a quick couple of seconds shot. Now I'm going to be able to do it with this. So this will definitely speed things up and change the way that I capture some of my shots. But I have to say, I do love using a tripod. And by the way, there's even a protective seal on top of your hot shoe. cover. So it is very, very well protected. In terms of L brackets, I'm kind of hoping that my current Really Right Stuff L brackets will go straight on. That's what I'm hoping. I won't know that until I actually try it, but I'm kind of thinking that the base is going to be the same. Fingers crossed, because they're a bit of a pain to get hold of, and Really Right Stuff don't tend to release stuff all that quickly. But there are others. There's P Pro, I think, and there's IDS that also make them as well. But I'm quite happy with my Really Right Stuff. But anyway, that's the unboxing video. And I just noticed might have another cover on the underside. There we go. I was thinking it was rather shiny underneath, and I don't remember the previous camera having such a shiny base, but it's got a protection film on that you can take off, so therefore it will leave you with a matte bottom, as you'd expect, and also there's more grip for the L bracket. That's it really. So 2 of these. The 35-100mm lens I think will not arrive until 3rd or the 4th week of September. I think there's just a general shortage of that lens. So yes, that I am looking forward to. But I'm off to Vietnam in 2.5 weeks, so I'm kind of hoping that the lens comes before that. But other than that, I'm really happy that the cameras arrive before then, so I can actually get them configured, set up, and get them working, and see what the little differences are between them. But yeah, that is it. That's all I wanted to say. Have a great evening. Shoot soon.